Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today and to learn more about how to use the dam to effectively distribute your assets. So let's chat asset distribution. So our discussion today can be broken up into kind of two main chunks, internal versus external sharing. Asset distribution is a core functionality of any dam platform and should provide many different methods for sending assets from point A to point B. Today, we'll look at many ways you can distribute assets from inside Media Valet and how each method falls into internal versus external, or perhaps sometimes even both. We'll go over examples for each and discuss which form of sharing is most appropriate given the task at hand, and hopefully provide you with a bit more knowledge by the end of today's session to help you build out your distribution strategies. So quickly for internal, this sharing assets to kind of team members, partners, company-wide employees. Some of the tools we're going to cover today is the direct asset link, which is kind of a newer method, the Lightbox and the branded portals. And for external sharing, so that would be sharing assets to clients, vendors, partners, customers, distributors, etc. We've got the fabulous branded portal, our web galleries and zip files, CDN linking, which is most commonly for your websites, and again, a newer feature that some of you may not know about today, as well as accessing some important metrics and data to track the success. Before I jump in, though, I did quickly want to take a brief moment to remind everyone that all the tools that we'll be discussing today are managed by the Media Valet permissions. So that this means that some of your colleagues, or perhaps even you yourself, might not have access to these tools, depending on how your permissions are set up today. You can reach out to your Media Valet implementation manager or customer success manager for assistance in doing a permissions review. Also, my colleague, as part of this series, ran a permissions review webinar. So please check out that video to help you understand permission settings a bit more in depth. So first off, internal sharing. So this would be mostly for users who have a Media Valet login. It can also be used to help connect your users to important assets a little bit quicker. You might think, okay, well, internal sharing, that's just super easy. I can grab the URL and share that off to whoever needs it. There's a bit more to it than simply grabbing a URL. Today, we'll look at some of the different ways of sharing assets internally and provide some tips on how to do that a bit more effectively. So the first one I wanted to cover today is the asset link. Super common for your users, to just go up to the task or to the URL bar, grab a link and send it off to a colleague. That is, super common, but can run into some issues. So depending on where that link is grabbed, for example, the recently uploaded category, if you just uploaded the asset, that link might end up breaking. So if more assets are uploaded to your dam and then all of a sudden that asset's not in the recently uploaded category, that URL is not going to work anymore. So super helpful is this asset link over here in the share method. It's going to bring the user back to kind of the basic info, allow them to see some of the metadata that could be super important on the asset, like the usage restrictions or photo credit. Apologies for the typo there. Really important information that perhaps you want your users to see rather than just handing them over the file to use. It also allows them to then click on the category and see if there's any more assets perhaps that might be relevant or helpful for their task or their project. So when you share the asset link, you're able to share it to a specific user or a user group. You're able to attach a message in that email. Or what I like to do is just simply click the copy all button, which is going to give you a bunch of the direct asset links, which you can then share in Teams or Slack or whatever chat program it is that you use. So a super helpful way of bringing your users and your colleagues back to the file rather than just handing them the file to use. Next, we have sharing lightboxes. So for those that don't know, might be new to Media Valet, lightboxes are a personal collection of assets that users can create inside Media Valet. They're often, groups of commonly used assets, maybe favorites, or a collection that someone's building for a campaign or a project. So sharing lightboxes internally is a great way to help your colleagues access those assets. I personally use them quite a lot to make groupings of commonly used files to share with new team members, kind of get them set up right away with some files to use. Can actually also be used to share externally. You can share your Lightbox, out as a gallery or zip file to your clients as well. Really commonly used for things like upcoming campaigns or projects. I might grab a certain number of files, share that out with the project lead and say, hey, here's the files that I found that I think might be quite helpful. I'm also excited to share that later this year, our product team is going to be releasing collaborative collections. So for some of those who have been Media Valley customers for a while, it's been a highly requested feature. And you'll soon be able to collaborate on these collections. So you'll be able to share out a Lightbox and add and remove files with your colleagues. Final note, just if you are going to be using the Lightboxes to share externally, so perhaps, grab a Lightbox and share it as this web gallery, just remember that a web gallery is static, just like the zip file, so that when you update your Lightbox, the zip file or the web gallery won't update. However, if that is a feature that you're interested in having, we do have that actually available in our branded portals as well, which I'll cover a little bit later. Actually, I'll cover them right now. So branded portals, commonly used for external sharing, but they're actually really, really helpful for internal sharing of assets as well. So what are they? They're essentially a microsite that allows you to share version-controlled assets in a bit of a branded environment. Meaning that when assets are updated in the DAM, they're also updated as well in your branded portal. So they're always going to be the most recent version. You can customize portals with different sections, which are clickable and kind of bring you to those assets. You can put in some helpful text in the body as well as hyperlinks to your websites. And it also contains a search function against the file name. I will be showing a few examples later on as well. So Media Valet, does come mostly with unlimited users, but there are going to be reasons why perhaps your entire organization might not be working inside the DAM, although we would definitely love to get you there. So how do we share assets, important assets, with our colleagues? None more important than perhaps your branding information. Super important that every colleague is using the most up-to-date logos, the right colors, the right fonts. So creating a branded portal has a brand guideline, which I'll show you a fantastic example of coming up shortly, is a really helpful way of distributing assets internally to kind of company-wide. Some other use cases might be an enablement portal for your revenue teams, event support for things like the annual Christmas party. Here's pictures from last year, here's pictures from upcoming year, here's some information on how to get to the venue. And perhaps a new hire portal to help with the onboarding process as well. So really fantastic for internal sharing. Before I jump into the examples, since we're going to double dip here on branded portals, external sharing, so simply talking about sharing assets to anyone who has an internet connection. So clients, customers, partners, vendors, and more. So for branded portals, some of these use cases can include new product launches, very, very common use case for my clients, sending assets to vendors and partners, product information, super helpful as well. And again, event support. So very common if, let's say you're doing an exhibition, you're lucky enough to go to Vegas every year to run an exhibition. Really helpful to create a branded portal that's got, product information about what you're going to be showcasing, maybe speaker information on, the guest speakers, a map of where your booth is at the event. Really helpful information as well. There's also some really helpful tools that are available in branded portals that help both the end user and you yourself to save time setting them up. So things like a download all, which is a new feature that some of you may not be aware of. Version control, being able to copy portals. So if you're going to have lots of product launches in rapid succession, what you're able to do is kind of create a skeleton of a portal and then populate it with the different products. So that's going to save you a lot of time. And we also have a really nice customized URL as well. So I'm going to show you actually 4 examples of portals today. They really are just a super duper helpful way of sharing assets. So hopefully I can get this right here. So I'm going to show you 2 examples of internal portals that Media Valet has set up and 2 examples of external portals. So the first is enablement for our revenue teams created by our product marketing team. So, this is really, really helpful for me and my colleagues on the customer success team to find information on all of the different integrations and kind of updates, things like the product roadmap. If I'm looking for some information on the, face recognition tool, I can just simply click this and be brought down to the information. Also, for those that don't know, Media Valet is now mobile, so really helpful to get info. And they've even set up some really nice hyperlinks for me to click out and find more information. I can also download all, either from this section or download all the assets from the portal. This launched a few weeks ago. Really, really helpful tool to be able to kind of get lots of assets to where they need to be. The next one, probably the most common and important use case for a portal, is the brand assets. Super important, that your entire organization is staying on brand, which means getting access to the most up-to-date logos, things like the LinkedIn banners and Zoom backgrounds, super helpful for all the new employees just to come here and grab all of these to update and always stay on brand. And if I'm looking for, a specific logo, I'm able to search against the file name. So perhaps the black logo. I can now download the black logos here as well. So those are 2 examples of internal sharing. Getting over to external sharing, really helpful to send beta files to clients. So this is an example of Media Valet Direct, which is our newest uploading tool, which helps you get assets into the DAM a little bit quicker, maybe with some folder structures. We have the Windows and Mac install files. And because these are version controlled, as the new updates to the beta file get pushed to the DAM, they automatically will update as well in your branded portals. So really great to know that, it's always the most up-to-date version. And again, helpful information. You can lead people to your website, sign up here for more info, or here is example, the how-to guides and frequently asked questions for our beta. Finally, for product launches, here's an example of Media Valet's latest product launches, which is the templating solution that we've provided. I can now check out the DAM Week webinar, which I hope actually, I think Ian, maybe we'll have a webinar branded portal for today's webinar as well. But really helpful for the revenue teams such as myself to be able to just send over a quick link to clients where they have access to all the relevant and important information about the new product. So those are 4 examples of some branded portals. Next, I'll cover kind of the quick and probably most common way of sharing, which is the web galleries as well as the zip file. So it's a quick and easy way to share assets, to anyone who has an internet connection and allow them to have previews of those assets before downloading. So they're kind of able to scroll through and select which files they would like to download. Really great is you can actually do some transformations when you share out of Media Valet. So, for example, your website team might come to you and say, hey, we're rebuilding our board member portal, and we need some thumbnails for the pictures of the board members. You can select those images, share them out as a web gallery, and then do some customization. So down here, we have the original sharing, but you can also just simply click the thumbnail to send over the thumbnails for them to use. So really, really quickly, you can do some great transformations of assets from Media Valet. Likewise, let's say your social team is looking to get some of the latest latest photos from a recent photo shoot. You log in and you realize these photos are 200 megabyte TIFF files, probably a little bit too big for your social team to be working with. Not a problem. Simply grab those files, share them out as a large rendition or even some customization. So you can turn these TIFF files into JPEGs. You can change the sizing or do some customization. And when you do that, you're going to cut down on somewhere around 95% of the storage. So really, really helpful, again, to set up your colleagues with the exact files that they need to complete their tasks. These are, of course, great for for small collections. If you are sharing, hundreds or even up to thousands of photos or files at a time, the zip file share is going to be your best friend. It'll allow the recipient to download all of the files just with kind of one click. Next, we have our CDN linking, or actually, lastly, I should say. This is the newest, probably one of the newest methods of sharing assets for Media Valet. Essentially, what it is a direct asset, URL asset to, URL link to your asset that lives inside the DAM. It can be shared externally, so the recipient doesn't need to have a Media Valet login. You can create multiple unique links for each asset for tracking purposes. And these are most commonly used for your websites. So traditionally, how a website build might look like is, someone comes to you and says, hey, can you send me some photos? Or perhaps you might have an integration which simply pulls a copy of a file to be used in your website. Now, what happens if you go through a rebrand, or perhaps you find a typo, or you need to update some information in one of the PDFs that you're sharing out with your vendors? You'd have to kind of go through that whole process again, figure out where that file is living all over your website, and update each one. With CDN links, you can have 7 or 8 links, a logo that appears on 10 different parts of your website. You simply update the file one time in Media Valet, and it's going to update every single web page. So really, really helpful for kind of saving time for your future self when inevitably we go through product updates and rebrands, things like that. It actually also helps for SEO results, increasing the load times for your websites, which we're talking about fractions of a second here, but those can have a material impact on your website load times, and therefore increasing your kind of rating. It also allows you to do some of the transformation again, just like we can for the web galleries, and really helpful. You can grab an embed code and share that with your website team as well. Lastly, metrics and data. So data is becoming an increasingly important measure of success for any project. It's really important to have data on things like views and downloads to be able to track the effectiveness of your distribution channels. Using the Media Valet report sections, which, by the way, is usually limited to administrators. So again, if you don't see that, it could be hidden behind a permission. It's going to allow you to monitor the number of views and downloads and top performing assets as well as portals. And you can set that to a custom date range as well. So I highly recommend when you launch a new website based on CDN links, when you share out a branded portal for new product launches or events, take a look at the reporting available to you and do a 1 month out check. How many views and downloads do you have? If the numbers are perhaps a little bit smaller than you kind of expected them, maybe we missed sending it out to an important vendor. Maybe we need to follow up with them, kind of poke them and say, hey, just wanted to make sure that you remembered we have this wonderful portal that we've created for you to access files. It can also be used to monitor the health of your CDN links. So if there are any links that perhaps are broken or deactivated, maybe a user has checked out the file and forgot to check it back in for some reason. Really helpful to monitor all of your links kind of at a bird's eye view. So in summary, Media Valet offers many different ways of sharing assets. Internally, you might be using the asset links, the light boxes, an internal portal, or perhaps just a quick gallery share. For external, we have the branded portals or galleries and zip files and CDN links. The tools will also allow you to do some light transformation, so both resizing and changing the file format to cut down on some storage. And the CDN links are a great way to build your websites and share assets kind of from maybe a vendor portal in your website. Will help you with SEO results and provide some really great metrics and data for tracking the success of all of your distribution strategies. So thanks so much for joining today. I hope we have some time, Ian, to answer some questions. Let me take a look at the chat here. Let's see. If I build the branded portal, does it double the amount of storage that I have in my dam? No, great question. So distribution methods in Media Valley do not add storage to your dam. So if you put, if you're putting product assets in your branded portal, that's not going to double dip or anything like that. Also, actually, on the note of branded portals, you can have any number of portals, so there's kind of no limit. For the amount of assets inside the portal, it's definitely in the thousands, many thousands I've seen as well. What happens to an asset in a branded portal if it gets deleted in the dam? Great question. So for all of your distribution methods, whether it's in a branded portal, a CDN link, or a web gallery, if the asset no longer exists inside Media Valley, it's not going to appear in any of your share methods as well. Also, for the branded portals and things like CDN links, they respect the asset status in Media Valley. So if the asset is rejected or checked out, it will not show up in the CDN link or the branded portal. But really nice, a really nice feature the product team built is when you go to reject an asset in the dam or do anything kind of with it that might break those links, you're going to get a pop-up saying, hey, warning, this file appears in this branded portal. Are you sure you want to do this? Because it will no longer appear. So a really helpful tool there. Oh, awesome. We're going to build our own branded portal for DAM 101. Fantastic. Awesome. No other questions? Oh, photos and gallery. For photos we got one more question here. I think for photos and galleries, do I have the ability to kind of download the raw files? Yeah, so when you share out the gallery, however you set up the gallery is how the recipient's going to download the file. So if you're sharing the original file, they will access that. If you're sharing kind of a transformation, that's what the recipient is going to receive. Super. Yeah, if you have any more questions today, or as you use these tools and you're curious, would you like a demo, kind of a walkthrough on how to use reporting, how to set up portals? If you don't see CDN linking today, just know it is actually available to all of our clients as part of your subscription service. It might not just be turned on. So please reach out to your implementation manager, customer success manager, and we'll get that set up for you. But as always, we're happy to help. All you need to do is shoot us an email and we'll be happy to get on a call. Well, thanks, Ian, and thanks everyone so much for joining today.